So today I'm going to be talking about 7 things that I wish that someone had sat me down and told me that I needed to realize and just pay attention to before I chose to have a career in music and to make a living out of it. In this video, I'll be breaking down my thoughts so that you can be aware of what you might be getting yourself into if you're already in this career or planning to have this in the future. Some of these concepts took me years to discover through the hard way and through many mistakes, so if this sounds like something that's interesting to you, then I recommend that you sit down, watch this video, and hopefully it provides some value to you. Hi, my name is Timothy Chewy. Welcome back to the channel. If you're here for the first time, I would recommend you might want to click the subscribe button so that you get more content like this if you find this interesting. All right, let's get started. Number 1, it's not glamorous all the time. So I think this might be a pretty obvious one to many people, especially those of you that are a little bit older, but I think it's really easy to assume that the music industry is this place where it's all glamour in the sense of it's always performing on stage, it's all this creative process making and so forth. And I'm not saying that that's not glamorous. That is extremely glamorous because it's probably what we live for as creative individuals or musicians. We work hard to make sure that we can enjoy those moments. But on the flip side of that coin, we have to go through a lot of challenges as well. So I could go forever about exactly what I mean by that, but just a little example for now is all the travel, the jet lag, the funding, the negotiations, and eventually you can hire out and have a manager or a representation of you for that kind of work. But building a career is never easy, no matter what industry it is, and I think especially for music, it's more than just about being really, really good. You have to do a lot of administration work. What else? The traveling part is really not glamorous. I mean, pre-COVID times, I can probably share with you how many hours I wasted at the airport because of airplane delays, baggage delays, jet lag. Jet lag is a real big one. I think it's really fun to imagine, one day you're in Germany, the other day you're in the US, in Canada, and then you're in Australia. And that's really fun. I'm not complaining that I get to travel a lot, but you realize your body can only handle so much and you start eating out. And then, you want to always get what's the quickest thing sometimes, and you realize it's not healthy. So then you end up ordering like green beans at a 5-star restaurant because you don't want to like gain some weight, and I'm not saying that you have to eat at 5-star restaurants, but oftentimes, you're invited to very fancy functions and so forth, and you just got to watch your body and your health, and then you realize it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're still awake, and then you have rehearsal at 10 o'clock in the next day. I would just say it's not always glamorous. There's a lot of glamour to it, but there's a lot of behind the scenes, and maybe if you're interested in seeing what that might look like, comment below and I'd be happy to share kind of the everyday life of what it's like to be a touring musician. Number 2 is that you're running a small business, you're the boss, and you've got to make the decisions because you are also the product. So this is a weird concept, I think, for a lot of people, maybe not for non-musicians, but oftentimes when we think of businesses, we're thinking of a product. So like an iPhone, we're selling an iPhone, but you got to remember when you're on stage and you're performing and people are hiring you, you are the product. And it's just really important to remember that because that means a lot of things in terms of how you deal with your team, how you deal with your finances, how you protect yourself as well. So protecting yourself is really, really important, and there are many ways to protect yourself. Some people, as a violinist, I'm someone that's pursuing a solo violinist career in the classical music industry. My hands are very important. I know many people insure their hands because, this is what makes their product attractive. Some other people, which is also very important, is they need to form whatever entity they are as a business, so it protects them from any kind of legal battles because you just never know what's happening. Something comes up and you just don't know people until bad situations happen. Making sure that you have a lawyer, or at least, having constant checkups on, exactly how a contract is written out. Does it work in your favor? Is it fair? Is there anything in that contract that you might not notice in legal jargon, but is actually taking advantage of you? all that kind of stuff. Also taxes, finances, right? Earlier I was mentioning making sure that you know how to pay your employees or pay people that are collaborating with you, what the system is. How are you going to do that? Is it through a business account? I could go on with this. Maybe I'll make another video about the finance part of being a creative individual and musician. But just thinking about that and protecting yourself is really, really important. I think thinking yourself as a business is really important, and that's because you are running yourself as a small business. Some of you who are in orchestra or thinking about going into orchestra might not see any relevance to this, but from my experience, it's maybe not as active in that way, but you still are the product. But if you're interested in knowing more about what it's like to have the finances set up as an independent artist like me, write in the comments below. Number 3, not to replicate someone else's career paths and achievements. I think this one is a really unique one within the classical music industry, but let me know if this applies to others as well. But I think it's really easy in classical music to focus in what someone else has done and then to replicate exactly how they got there. So I'll give you an example. Sometimes it's really easy to say this person won this competition, went to this school, studied with this teacher, got this management, and if I don't get the exact same things, I'm a failure. Or at least I'm not as successful. This is where the problem lies, because you just can't replicate that exact same career path. First of all, it doesn't exist. Even if you replicate every single thing, you're not going to have the same outcome. And actually, why copy someone else's career when you can have your own path and be successful in the same way? Life just takes you in different paths, and you're going to meet different people, and what's been done in the past can't be done in the future because, or in the present even, because times have changed. You know, the significance of an organization might have changed, or something that you might have never have imagined has become much more important now, and maybe you want to focus with creating and establishing a connection or collaboration with that particular group or whatever. The nice thing about the creative field is that there's no wrong answer, really. You know, you do whatever you want to fulfill your goals as an artist, and it's just really important that I think we realize this early on, that success is not based on what has been done in the past. You can learn a lot from the past and replicate the spirit of someone else's career, in the sense like, oh, this person did this and was so enthusiastic and was so passionate about this. So don't recreate that exact same project unless you're super passionate about the same thing, but maybe do that to something that you are actually passionate about. And the biggest mistake I see is just copying other people. And I know I've been very tempted to do that as well in the past. I don't think I've ever done that particularly, but I think it's really easy to get ourselves into that situation. By the way, this video is not meant to discourage anyone from entering the music or the creative fields. I hope I don't come off that way at all, but it's more about just giving you a little bit of education that you might be having to do more than what you thought, so that when you choose to go into this career path, you'll be more than ready to thrive. Number 4, saying no. I think this is one of the most powerful things you can ever do in your musical career life, because saying no to something that you truly don't want to do, it feels so unnatural, because I think many of us musicians, especially in our early years, were constantly encouraged to say yes to everything. And I think there's a point where that starts to just become a part of our personality, but it's really important to start saying no to things that you really don't feel comfortable doing, whether that be a project, whether that be collaborating with someone else. And you know, musicians, I think in general, are very sensitive people, so we're often thinking about like, oh, what if that person, you know, doesn't like us, or what if I offend this person, just because, you know, I don't want to do it and I just want to have time to myself. So first of all, I just got to explain, you can't control how someone's going to react. You know, some people are going to be very angry if you say no to them, and I've encountered a lot of that in my past, and oftentimes I probably didn't deal with that the right way. Probably I should have just been like, you know, okay, whatever, you're upset, but I have legitimate reasons. Don't get affected by that. Everybody has a different response to how you say no. I think a lot of people, if you give them a good excuse, you know, we're all, as I said, sensitive people. We're usually going to understand, but just know if you do meet someone and you say, no, I don't want to do this, and they get really angry at you, you probably don't want to be working with them anyways. In more specific terms, as you go further into your career and start performing and actually building something that's quite significant, I had really good advice from someone that did sit me down one time and told me about the 3 P's of choosing an engagement, a gig, or whatever. The first P is prestige. So is this concert or engagement or gig going to somehow possibly elevate me to a new level in my career? So is this a really well-respected institution? Is this a very established artist that will create a big hype? Number 2 is passion. So is this something that I'm really passionate about? Is this a song that I've always wanted to play and I don't have any opportunities and I really want to do this now? Do it. Is this a cause or a mission of an organization that I really care about? Do it. Anything that fulfills you and you can somehow help that with your art practice, I think that's really, really great. Number 3 is profit, and this also goes back to the small business idea. It's really important that we look at everything also transactionally, especially when it comes to offers and gigs. Sometimes maybe it's not exactly where you want to be. Maybe it's, some place that you just don't want to feel like going, but the compensation is incredible. You got to think about it. So maybe, that's a really good concert. It's not that much work. Why not just do it? It's good pay, and it's probably going to help you have more time in the future, because then you can say no to other things that maybe you might have had to said yes if you didn't have that money. So for those of you that are still here, here's number 5. Number 5 is that you need to be so much more than just a really good, whatever it is, good violinist, good pianist, good singer. You need to have great life skills, great communication skills, networking skills, and just dealing with people in general, because we're all people at the end of the day. You're going to deal with a lot of different personalities. Some are very difficult. Musicians, I said, are very sensitive people. So oftentimes, our mood is very, very just not consistent. And you got to know how to deal with that. You need to be firm, but you also need to be very empathetic at the same time. So as an independent artist, I constantly have to meet new presenters, to meet a lot of people who work in the profession at the administration side. I got to make sure that I keep a very professional conversation with them and making sure that I know where the boundaries are. Never ever gossip about something that you just don't know the person to begin with, because that is a very, very toxic way of just ruining your whole reputation. Everything in our industry is about reputation, and once that's tarnished, it's very, very, very hard to gain back. So always be very professional, but yet be very personal at the same time, and that takes a lot of practice to develop. If you're an independent artist, you need to know how to network. So keeping in touch with organizations, with donors, with patrons, with your audience as well. That's really important, to keep in touch with your audience. For those of you who are in an orchestra or play in a group, you might be thinking, oh, I don't need to deal with that. All I have to do is make sure that I really play well in an orchestra, come in on time, and I'm prepared. That's not true even for orchestra. You're under a 10-year process. You have to make sure that you get along with your colleagues. There are a lot of strong personalities in orchestras, and you want to make sure that you're able to deal with all of these things. It comes in many different forms, and I think that's just something we're not taught at a very young age, is how to make sure that we're able to deal with all of these very different personalities while yet still playing our instruments or being a musician at a very high level. Number 6, no one cares more than you do. This is a really important concept, and especially so if you're going towards an independent artist career, such as a soloist or even a quartet. When it comes to making sure that you're getting everything you need, making sure that you're not comfortable with something, how you want to brand yourself, how you want to communicate on social media, how you want to engage with your fans, what repertoire you want, no one's going to care more than you do. You can hire people and a team out, and that's part of your process of making sure that whoever you're working with has the same vision as you. But at the end of the day, you're the boss. It's you that you're selling, and it's your own self. No one's gonna care more than you do. It's kind of a principle, I think, across many, many things. Number 7, the last one, is not to get distracted by other people's success. for me, I think it's really easy in the past to have been distracted by, oh, that person is playing with this orchestra, or this person is, signing with a CD label and so forth. And I've had great parents and a lot of great mentors around me who always were very much like, just focus on what you need to do and be happy for them, because we all know how difficult the creative industries can be and how unfair it can be also. So, any achievement that anyone does, we just know the amount of uncontrollables that they had to go through. And the idea also of just thinking that way will change your entire perspective of a person in the music world. You're going to be a lot more optimistic, and trust me, everyone can see when you're pessimistic, bitter, or if you're optimistic, full of energy. People want to work with you if you're full of optimism and positivity. So making sure that you don't get distracted by other people's success, because your time will come, and it's probably going to come in a different way. What we see from others people's success is really at the tip of the iceberg. So I know there's this famous photo of where you see people's success is the tip of the iceberg, and all the hard work, the failures, the rejections, and all of that is all buried underneath the ocean. And trust me, that is so, so true, especially in the music world. And you just gotta be patient, really be happy for people that, get stuff and succeed, because they're gonna be your coworker. And also, psychologically, if you're really happy for them, and you got to be genuine, of course, it's a whole thing that you got to work on yourself, you're going to make a good impression to these people, and they probably will be at a point where they can choose if they want to hire you. And the fact that they remember that you were so supportive of them and so friendly and so on their side, they're probably going to hire you at some point as well. I know for me, that's for sure. Even when I'm choosing who I want to collaborate with, I think back like, oh, this person was so encouraging, so supportive, and I really appreciate that. I want to, work with him or her or whatever. Be happy for others people's success. Don't get distracted. Just focus on what you've got to do. Yeah. All right, so that is my video for today. It's 7 things I wish someone just sat me down and told me a little bit about what I need to know before going with a professional musical career and making a living out of it. And I hope this helped you as well. Let me know if I said anything that you don't agree with. I'd be interested in knowing what your thoughts are as well. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, it's Timothy Chewy Violin, and I'm now on Twitch. So follow me on Twitch. I love live streaming and would love to see you there as well. I really appreciate it that you've come all the way to the end of this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. All right, thanks, and have a good week.